The laughter echoing in the hallways of Springfield High suddenly stopped. Everyone was watching the changing expression on Megan's face. When they knocked down the quiet-looking new girl and kneed her in the face, they had expected great entertainment. No one knew who she was, an Olympic wrestling champion, six-time national judo tournament winner, and a girl from a special security family that protected heads of state. When Megan stood up, everyone realized a big mistake had been made. Megan Wright was trying to find her new locker in the corridor of Springfield High, while the students around her were barely aware of her presence. Despite being a 17-year-old, medium-height, athletic girl, Megan managed to be almost invisible, a skill she had developed over years. 209, 210, 211, she muttered to herself as she counted the lockers. Today was her first day at Springfield High, and she was trying to develop her sense of direction. Megan's family had moved 8 times in the last 10 years. Her stepfather, Michael Wright, was a senior operations manager at a private security company. At least that was the official explanation. In reality, Michael Wright worked in a secret unit specializing in protecting world leaders. This explained why the family had to move frequently and suddenly. Finally finding her locker number 214, Megan turned the combination and began placing her books inside. She was used to transferring from one high school to another, following the same routine each time. Adapt quietly without drawing attention. Excel in classes but never stand out too much. "You must be new," said a voice behind her. When Megan turned around, she saw 3 male students standing there. All 3 were athletic, wearing school football team jackets, looking like typical high school popular kids. "Yes," said Megan briefly, turning back to her locker. "I'm Tyler." "This is Jason and Derek," said the one standing in front, a handsome boy with light hair. "What's your name?" "Megan," she said, still not fully looking at them. "Welcome, Megan," said Tyler, winking at his friends. "We can help you get used to Springfield High." An alarm went off inside Megan. She had heard this tone of voice before, a kind of superiority and potential threat hidden under a mask of fake friendship. She had encountered some type of bully at every new school, and over time, she had become an expert at recognizing them. "Thanks, but I'm fine," said Megan, closing and locking her locker. "I need to find my class." When Megan tried to walk away, Jason, the largest of the 3 boys, stepped in front of her. "What's the hurry?" he asked, smiling, but with something in his eyes, a kind of cold calculation. "I don't want to be late," said Megan, trying to stay calm. "On the first day, teachers are lenient toward new students," said Tyler, now standing closer to Megan, invading her personal space. "We can show you a few things about our school." "Maybe another time," said Megan, tried to pass between them, but Derek blocked her path. "You know," said Derek, looking her up and down, "if you're new here, you need to learn some Springfield traditions." "What kind of traditions?" asked Megan, her voice still calm but her posture slightly changing, more cautious, more alert. "New students need to go through a kind of initiation," said Tyler, now smiling in an openly threatening way. Megan noticed that the school corridor was beginning to empty. The final bell must have rung, and most students had gone to their classes. A few curious onlookers remained, but most students had left. This must have been exactly the situation these 3 boys wanted. "Look, guys," said Megan, controlling her voice, "I really need to get to class. I don't want to get in trouble on my first day." "Oh, but this is a fun kind of trouble," said Tyler, then suddenly pushed Megan by the shoulders. Megan maintained her balance, didn't fall. Years of instinctual training automatically balanced her body. "What are you doing?" she asked, now with a warning in her voice. "Just playing," said Jason, now pushing her too, harder this time. Megan took a step back, but was still standing. Her body had begun to feel the adrenaline, the fight or flight response. But in her mind, her father's voice echoed, "Never be the first to attack. Always look for the option to retreat." "Leave me alone," said Megan, raising her voice. "I want to leave." "But the fun is just beginning," said Derek, and this time all 3 pushed Megan toward the wall. Megan's back hit the wall. Now the 3 boys had surrounded her, cutting off her escape route. The few students remaining in the corridor were watching, but no one intervened. "Please," said Megan as a final warning. "Please what?" Tyler mocked. "What are you going to do?" And then without warning, Jason moved toward Megan and threw a knee strike, right toward her face. This wasn't a joke, it was a real attack. Time slowed down. Megan saw the knee coming toward her face. 10 years of intensive martial arts training automatically activated in her body. With a quick movement, she slightly moved her head to the side, so the knee hit beside her nose, not with full force. Still, the blow was painful, and tears came to Megan's eyes. For a brief moment, a thought crossed Megan's mind. Don't react. Withdraw. Keep your true identity secret. This was what her family had told her every time she started a new school. Don't draw attention, don't show your real abilities. But then she felt her bleeding lip and made her decision. Jason was grinning as if he had won a victory. Not so tough after all, he said, turning to his friends. Megan had crouched down, as if in pain or fear. But then she straightened up with incredible speed. Her movement was so fast and fluid that Jason couldn't react. A moment later, Jason found himself in the air, as Megan had thrown him to the ground with a perfect judo technique. He fell on his back, breathless. Tyler and Derek froze in shock. Then they both moved toward Megan at the same time. Megan's movements were almost a blur. They were so fast. She grabbed Tyler's arm, secured it with a lock, and bent his knee, forcing the boy to kneel in pain. At the same time, she kicked the back of Derek's knee with her foot, destabilizing him and making him fall to the ground. Within 3 seconds, all 3 football players were lying on the ground, all in pain, shocked and embarrassed. The students remaining in the corridor looked on in shock. No one had fully understood what had happened. How had the new girl taken down 3 football players so quickly and effectively? Megan straightened her clothes, picked up her bag, and began to walk away as if nothing had happened. But then she stopped and turned to the 3 boys. That was a warning, she said, her voice low but authoritative. Next time, it will really hurt. Just then, a teacher entered the corridor. What's going on here? He asked, seeing the 3 boys on the ground and Megan still bleeding. These boys attacked me, said Megan, turning to the speaker. Mr. Peterson, physical education, said the teacher. And you are? Megan Wright. I started today. Mr. Peterson looked at the 3 boys on the ground, then back at Megan. They attacked you and... Then what happened? I defended myself, Megan said simply. Mr. Peterson's eyebrows rose. You? Against 3? Yes, sir. All of you to the principal's office immediately, said Mr. Peterson. And Wright, you should go to the infirmary. Your lip is bleeding. In the principal's office, the story became clear. The testimonies of other students and the security camera in the hallway confirmed that Megan had defended herself. Tyler, Jason, and Derek each received 3 days of suspension. Megan didn't receive any punishment, but Principal Williams called her for a private meeting. Ms. Wright, said the principal, looking at her from behind his desk, I've looked at your file. 8 different schools, 3 different countries. You have quite an impressive background. Megan nodded but didn't say anything. Also, I've looked at what happened in the hallway today, the principal continued. Those moves, it's clear you've had professional training. You completely neutralized 3 boys without causing them serious harm. That shows control and discipline. Thank you, sir, said Megan. I'm curious, said the principal, leaning forward. Your file mentions your family, but the details are quite limited. What does your father do, Megan? Megan looked into the principal's eyes and smiled slightly. My father is a security consultant, sir. He works in different countries. Security consultant, the principal repeated, nodding. And where did you learn these fighting skills? From my father, sir, and various trainers. Due to my father's job, we travel a lot. Principal Williams nodded, then smiled. Well, Megan, welcome to Springfield High. I hope you won't encounter bullying here, but if you do, I guess you can defend yourself. Yes, sir, said Megan. I can. In the infirmary, the school nurse, Ms. Martinez, was treating Megan's wound. You're lucky, said the nurse, applying antiseptic to the cut on her lip. No serious damage, but it will swell a bit. That's fine, said Megan. I've experienced worse. The nurse looked at her carefully. Have you? Megan nodded but didn't give details. They say you took down 3 boys in the hallway, said Ms. Martinez, preparing a bandage. Something like that, said Megan, shrugging. Interesting, said the nurse. You seem like a different kind of girl, Megan. I'm just a normal student, Megan said automatically. Ms. Martinez smiled. At Springfield High, normal is a relative term, honey. When lunchtime arrived, all eyes turned to Megan as she entered the cafeteria. The morning incident had already spread to every corner of the school. Now everyone was talking about the new girl who took down 3 football players. Megan got her lunch and sat at an empty table, trying to ignore the looks around her. But she didn't remain alone for long. "May I sit here?" asked a voice. When Megan looked up, she saw a girl with short black hair and glasses. "Of course," said Megan. "I'm Lily," said the girl sitting down. "I heard about what happened this morning." "Incredible." "It's being exaggerated," said Megan, trying to focus on her lunch. "It's not an exaggeration," said another girl approaching the table. "I'm Zoe, and you've become a legend, Megan Wright." In a short time, the table began to fill up, mostly girls all wanting to meet Megan, to hear the details of the morning incident. "How did you do those moves?" one asked. "Do you have martial arts training?" asked another. "The look on Tyler's face when you lifted him into the air was priceless," said a third girl, giggling. Megan felt uncomfortable. This kind of attention was exactly what she wanted to avoid. But then she noticed another student approaching the table, a small, introverted-looking girl. "Hi," said the girl, almost whispering. "I'm Emma. I just wanted to thank you." "For what?" Megan asked in surprise. "Tyler and his friends. They were bullying me too," said Emma, fixing her eyes on the ground. "But after today, maybe they'll leave me alone." Megan looked at Emma and suddenly identified with her. She had once been like Emma, alone, vulnerable, a victim. But then her father and trainers had taught her to defend herself, taught her to be strong. "Come sit," said Megan, indicating the empty chair beside her. Emma sat down shyly. "If Tyler and his friends bully you again, tell me," said Megan, lowering her voice. "And maybe I can teach you how to defend yourself." Emma's eyes brightened. "Really?" "Really," said Megan. "Everyone can learn to defend themselves." After school, as Megan was walking toward the bus stop, she noticed a car approaching her. The car slowed down, the window open. "Megan," said a woman's voice, "get in." Megan sighed and got into the car. Her mother, Laura Wright, was sitting at the wheel, a woman in her 40s with sharp facial features, looking serious. "The principal called," said Laura, joining the traffic. "First day, Megan." "First day, and you've already drawn attention." "I had no choice, Mom," said Megan, fastening her seatbelt. "3 boys attacked me. I defended myself." "I know," said Laura, with a softening in her voice. "And that's your right." But Dad will be angry," Megan completed, "because I showed my skills." Laura nodded. "Your father will call tonight. You'll need to explain to him." "I know," said Megan, looking out the window. They sat in silence for a while. Then Laura spoke. "Did they hurt you?" "Just my lip," said Megan, showing her wound. "It's not important." Laura looked at her daughter, with a mixture of concern and pride in her eyes. "One day, Megan. One day you'll have a normal life, I promise." "What is normal, Mom?" asked Megan, smiling slightly. "I don't know anymore." That night, Michael Wright had a video call with his daughter. He was currently on the other side of the world, on a secret mission. "I hear you've shown your moves," he said, with a serious expression on his face. "I had to, Dad," said Megan. 3 boys attacked me. They kneed me in the face." Michael's expression softened. "Are you hurt?" "Nothing serious," said Megan. "Okay," said Michael, sighing. "I'm sorry you had to defend yourself, but I understand your reaction. Just be careful, okay? Very few people know what you're capable of, and that knowledge can be dangerous." "I know, Dad," said Megan. "I'll be careful." "Good," said Michael, then smiled slightly. "At least did you apply your techniques correctly?" Megan laughed. "Yes, Dad, just like you taught me." "That's my girl," said Michael, with a voice full of pride. The next day when Megan went to school, she noticed that things had changed a bit. People were still looking at her, but in their gazes, there was now not just curiosity, but a kind of respect too. Some students even made way for her. As she was walking toward her class, she heard someone calling her, "Megan, wait." Turning around, she saw Lily, one of the girls she had met yesterday, along with a group of more girls. "Good morning, Lily," said Megan. Good morning, said Lily, smiling. We were wondering, maybe, maybe you could show us a few moves. What? Asked Megan in surprise. We heard what you told Emma yesterday, said Lily, that you'd teach her how to defend herself. Could we learn too? Megan looked at the girls around her, all of whom seemed eager. This was a turning point for her. She had always tried to hide, to not draw attention. But maybe it was time to share her skills. Okay, she finally said. We can meet after school. I can show you the basic moves. Joy appeared on the girls' faces. Great, said Lily. At the gym? No, said Megan, thinking. Let's meet at the outer field. There's more space there. Perfect, so said Lily. See you there. As Lily and the others walked away, Megan found herself smiling. Maybe drawing attention at Springfield High wouldn't be so bad after all. After school, when Megan went to the outer field, the scene that met her surprised her. Not just Lily and a few girls, but nearly 30 girls, and even a few boys, were waiting for her. I wasn't expecting this, said Megan, approaching the group. Word spread, said Lily excitedly. Everyone wants to learn something from you. I'm not a trainer, Megan warned. I just know a few basic moves. That's enough, said Emma, now looking more confident. We want to know how to defend ourselves. Like you. Megan took a deep breath and then nodded. Okay, let's start. First, I'll show you the basic stance. For an hour, Megan showed the group simple but effective self-defense techniques. How to stand, how to balance, simple blocking and avoidance moves. The students watched carefully and repeated. In the middle of the exercise, Megan noticed three familiar figures walking toward the field. Tyler, Jason, and Derek. Her heart tightened. Would they cause trouble? The three boys approached the group, but unexpectedly, they didn't look aggressive, but cautious. What do you want? Asked Megan, slightly changing her stance. I wanted to apologize, said Tyler surprisingly. For yesterday. We shouldn't have treated you like that. Megan was surprised. You're apologizing? Yes, said Tyler, looking a bit uncomfortable. And maybe we can learn too? You? Asked Megan, unable to hide her surprise. Yes, said Jason, now speaking too. The moves you did yesterday, impressive. Megan looked at the three boys who seemed genuinely sincere. Perhaps another lesson from her father came to mind. Sometimes the most unexpected people become the best students. Okay, said Megan, but on one condition, you'll never bully anyone again. Promise, said Tyler, nodding. We learned our lesson. Good, said Megan, then turned to the group. Now let's work in pairs. We'll practice the basic blocking techniques. As the students paired up, Megan paused for a moment and looked around. In one day, she had gone from being the most excluded person at the school to a kind of leader. And maybe, just maybe, she was beginning to like this new role. 3 weeks later, a wind of change was blowing through Springfield High. The informal self-defense club that Megan had started was now meeting regularly, practicing twice a week. Even the physical education teacher, Mr. Peterson, had joined in and was now helping Megan. Even more surprising was the decrease in bullying incidents at the school. Tyler, Jason, and Derek had now become active members of the self-defense group and had begun to adopt a protective attitude toward other students. One day, as Megan was standing by her locker, Emma approached her with a huge smile on her face. What happened? Asked Megan, seeing Emma's excitement. Last night, as I was walking home, a man started following me, said Emma. He looked scary. What did you do? Asked Megan, with concern. I did what you showed me, said Emma proudly. I stood firm, turned to him and said, Leave me alone, in a strong voice, just like you taught. And he left. He just left. Megan smiled and hugged Emma. Great job, Emma. You were brave. All thanks to you, said Emma, her eyes shining. You taught me not just fighting techniques, but also how to be strong. These words deeply affected Megan. All her life she had been taught to hide her strength, to not draw attention. But perhaps real power was more meaningful when shared. I didn't teach you, Emma, said Megan gently. That power was always inside you. I just helped you see it. Later that same day, Megan was reading a book in her living room when the phone rang. It was Principal Williams calling. Megan, I'm thinking of organizing a confidence and self-defense seminar at our school. said the principal, getting straight to the point. And I want you to lead it. Mr. Peterson will help, but this was your idea. I want your leadership. Me? Asked Megan in surprise. Principal Williams, I'm just a student. Yes, but in the past 3 weeks, you've created a positive change in our school. Bullying incidents have decreased. Students are more confident. That's an important achievement, Megan. Megan thought for a moment. She wondered what she would tell her father. Michael Wright had always wanted his daughter to keep a low profile, not to draw attention. But maybe, just maybe, the time had come. Could I think about it? Asked Megan. Sure, said the principal, but know that this would be a very valuable service. As she hung up the phone, her mother Laura came out of the kitchen. Who was calling? She asked. Megan explained the situation and waited for her mother's reaction. What will you do? Asked Laura. I don't know, said Megan honestly. I don't know what Dad would say. Laura sat next to her daughter and took her hand. Your father always wanted you to be safe. That's why we move. That's why you shouldn't draw attention. But Megan, you're 17 now. Soon you'll be making your own decisions. So, this is your decision, said Laura. Your father will understand. In time. Megan hugged her mother. Thank you, Mom. Always, said Laura. And by the way, I'm very proud. That evening, Megan arranged a video call to speak with her father. Michael was, as always, in a hotel room. He couldn't say where. Dad, I need to ask you something, said Megan, after explaining the situation. Should I accept the principal's offer? Michael looked at his daughter from the screen for a long time, his facial expression unreadable. You know, he finally began, your mother and I are proud of you, Megan. We've always been proud. And yes, we told you not to draw attention, but maybe this is different. How is it different? Asked Megan, surprised. Because this time you're not drawing attention. You're helping others, said Michael, and that's a very valuable thing. Teaching the skills you've learned to others, empowering them, that's an important mission. So you're saying I should accept? Michael smiled. Yes, I'm saying you should accept. Just still be careful, okay? Some things should still remain secret. Of course, Dad, said Megan with a wide smile. Thank you. A month later, a large crowd had gathered in the gymnasium of Springfield High. The entire school, parents, and even the local press were there to watch the Be Confident, Defend Yourself seminar. Megan, Mr. Peterson, and now assistant trainer Tyler were demonstrating basic self-defense techniques. The crowd greeted each demonstration with great excitement. At the end of the seminar, Principal Williams came on stage. On behalf of Springfield High, I want to thank Megan Wright, he said, initiating applause. She came to our school less than a month ago and has already made a lasting impact. She taught our students not just how to defend themselves, but also how to be confident and respectful to others. The crowd gave a standing ovation. Megan, despite all this attention, felt strangely comfortable. Maybe she had finally found a place where she didn't have to completely hide her true identity. As she came down from the stage, Emma and Lily met her. It was incredible, said Lily excitedly. Everyone is talking about you, Megan. I just did what I do, said Megan modestly. And you changed all of us, said Emma, hugging Megan. Megan looked around at her friends at Springfield High, at the once divided group of students that had now become a community. Maybe this was her new home. Maybe she had finally found a place where she belonged. As she was leaving through the back door, she saw a familiar car approaching. The window opened and her mother, Laura, waved to her. How did it go? Asked Laura as Megan got into the car. Amazing, said Megan, feeling genuinely happy. Everyone was so supportive. And I think I'm making a difference here. You are, said Laura proudly. And I spoke with your father. For the first time, we'll spend the whole year here. We won't be moving. Megan's eyes widened. Really? But Dad, your father wants you to be happy, said Laura, starting the car. And you're happy here. This school, this community, it's good for you. Megan's eyes filled with tears. She had always adapted to new schools, new lives. The idea of finally staying put was almost unbelievable. Thank you, Mom, she said with deep emotion in her voice. As they drove home, Megan looked out the window. Her first day at Springfield High had been one of the most challenging and frightening days of her life. She had been attacked by 3 bullies, kneed in the face. But she had chosen to defend herself, and this decision had changed not just her own life, but the lives of an entire school community. Sometimes the most unexpected events bring about the most beautiful results, and sometimes a knee to the face can change lives forever, but not always in a bad way. Megan Wright had come to Springfield High as a quiet new student, but now she was a leader, a teacher, and above all, her true self. Someone who didn't hide her strength, but used it to empower others. Maybe that was what real power was all about. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications for more inspiring stories. Where are you watching from? Share in the comments. See you in our next story.